Hey guys, there's a segment on Tucker Carlson tonight I found quite interesting. It was something I had actually missed, and I was a little surprised I missed it because this is right at my wheelhouse. Basically, here's the short version, uh, TED Talk style thing from chief CCP expert, Chinese financial guru guy, and he's giving a talk to a lot of I think what I assume to be students or at least young investors. And he's talking about Hunter Biden. He's talking about the Trump, and the whole thing that they were talking about was, we can't fix Trump through Wall Street, but Biden's a different animal. Political implications aside, he talks about specifically somebody who he describes as an old Jewish woman, um, who has dual Israeli U.S. citizenship and also has basically has been given citizenship by the Chinese, who speaks fluent Mandarin, who he met at an event at the Politics and Prose bookstore. This is what he's talking about. He's talking about this event here. It was a propaganda thing that happened in September 2015. He was supposed to organize basically a book signing for the author, and the author's guy is this guy, Zhu Jing. It was basically Xi Jinping was visiting, and it was this big propaganda coup, basically. They put pressure on, basically, they asked the bookstore to do the event on short notice, and they said, we can't book you. And then they said, oh, well, what do we got to pay essentially to book it? And they said, they weren't really a fan of that. This guy's the owner, because they called the owner, and he basically said, we have principles, we can't do this. This guy's a Democrat, he's married to a Hillary Clinton speechwriter. That's beside the point. But basically, another Democrat shows up he describes as somebody who's influential on Wall Street and, or I should say, has connections since 1992, to say the least. And basically, they forced their way in. Obviously, the event occurred because there's pictures of the event, and they put it on their website. So I'm going to talk about some other stuff, but first I'm just going to play this out so that you guys can hear it, and then that will. I recommend you look up the rest of it later. I'll put the link in the description, and let's go.
啊，跟我很装。后来打听才知道，这哥们儿啊，以前是民主党人，他是民主党人，以前做过驻亚洲的记者啊，对我党啊非常有看法，所以故意的不配合。后来我以为这事儿得黄啊，至少得换时间换地点是吧？结果，我们把矛盾上交嘛，让领导去解决吧，是吧？反正我是客串的帮忙的是吧？结果到了礼拜四早上。咱们那个部的一位副部级领导啊，也是那天的真正的 keynote speaker 是吧？他给我打电话说：“小迪啊，咱们按我方原计划，在那个时间，在那个地点继续照办。”啊，吃完午饭我就赶去，结果领导到的比我还早，给我介绍啊，今天我们之所以能够按照我方原计划得以顺利执行，就是因为这个啊，我们今天这位功臣，顺他介绍一位。大鼻子老太太是吧？一看就犹太人。这个老太太给我递名片啊，我叫某某某啊，我这名字不卖了是吧？我叫某某某，请多关照。注意啊，一口流利的京片子，北京话。然后我很惊讶，我说：“哎呀，您这个中文讲的比我还棒啊！我永远改不掉我的江苏口音，您这个一点口音都没有啊，是吧？”老太太听我夸她口音好啊，得意了。我告诉你啊，我不但会讲中文，我还有中国国籍。大家知道吧？你有外国国籍吗？你如果有外国国籍，你不可能有中国国籍嘛，是不是？她这样的老太太是不可能为了中国国籍放弃美国和以色列双重国籍的，是这意思吧？我一下明白了，这是我们中国民老朋友了，是吧？啊，然后这时候下边还有一句话啊，这个让我印象非常深刻。我不但有中国国籍，我还有北京市户口，啊。长安街边上东城区有套四合院啊，等你回了北京过来喝茶是吧？这一年你在这儿有啥事儿，记得找我，意思嘛？这点我罩得住啊。然后我这时候看见这个前边很傲娇的是吧？那个。
Okay, so he does elaborate a little more on the story, but that should really, really disturb us. He's literally talking about basically somebody who is a plant. Now, let's see, he's gonna
书店老板
continue
满
here
脸
for a
黑线，
second.
安排员工排桌子排椅子，很不情愿，被人强摁着干这事儿，接着茬儿，是吧？我说您怎么搞定他的，是吧？我们前面沟通不下来啊，这个很傲娇的。老太太皎洁一笑，我跟他讲道理，大家知道这话来路吧？ 美国著名黑手党电影《教父》里边的经典台词，把人家马头给砍了，是吧？塞人家被窝里边啊。当然，老太太不是这个黑手党，老太太身份是什么？她为什么在
This is important. Now, he's saying, why did she live in China for 30 years? It's a little unclear whether basically, based on how he was telling the story before, whether she was suggesting she just has had a residence there or whether she actually did live in China for 30 years. I think somebody like that would probably give away the ship in that case. So I don't think that's what he means by that, or I should say that may have been what he said, but I'm not 100% convinced that it means you actually, like, it was somebody who lived there and then changed. They may have had a residence there and gone back and forth or something like that, or at the very least own property. So that's I just wanted to mention that so you guys don't get too confused.
在中国住了30年啊？为什么讲口流利芯片的？就刚才我们讲到的全球华尔街某著名金
Famous global lending institution on Wall Street. Okay.
金融机构、顶级金融机构的亚洲区的总裁啊。当然再说下去可能政治不正确了啊，大家明白我意思吧？懂的掌声啊！好，那么其实呢，就是说啊，说的白了点啊，其实呢，就过去这个30年啊，过去40年，我们在美国的它的这个利用它全是核心圈，是不是？我前面讲过，华尔街在1970年代开始对美国它的内政外交有非常强的。
Okay. So this is what I talked about before. How they basically financial tie strategy is, that's their end game. That's their essentially method of warfare. I don't blame the Chinese for looking out for themselves, but I do blame people who would basically betray us. And this lady he's described here, we got to be able to find who this is. That this person can't possibly. I mean, there's only so many old Jewish ladies who have been influential since he suggested around 1992 earlier in the video. Although he could have been talking about China's entrance into the World Trade Organization, but nonetheless, basically, old Jewish lady who's been tied to China for 30 years is effectively acting as a spy because you can't have dual citizenship with the U.S. and China. The Chinese don't recognize that. The U.S. doesn't recognize that. Unless, obviously, you're a spy, which would mean it's something that's not listed. Also, a dual citizenship with Israel that is listed because that is allowed. There's only so many people who could possibly fit that bill. So, I'm going to give an example of essentially a little bit of digging I did. I'm not saying this is the person. What I'm saying is that this is the kind of stuff that makes my eyebrows raised. Okay. Xi Jinping book. This is where it was at this place. Dealing this asshole was promoting his book. This guy was the owner who I guess gave in. I would have burned my store down before hosting these people. Got news for you. This guy's name is Bradley Graham. His wife is Lisa Muscatine. She's a basically Albright acolyte, and she's how do I put it? She's Hillary Clinton's speechwriter for a while. She's just some influential lefty. But she's more of an academic. She's not a financial person. I don't think this is who they're talking about. Plus, basically, Bradley Graham doesn't seem to like the Chinese for whatever reason. And I don't see why his wife would, be the one who puts the pressure on him. That doesn't seem like something... That seems like that would be a conflict of interest. Plus, the guy probably would have mentioned if it was his wife. Dianne Feinstein, elected to the Senate in November 1992. She has dual Israeli-American citizenship. I've seen that from a couple sources. I'm not 100% sure. The problem is, the second you start wading into anything that has to do with the Israelis or Jews, it makes it very, very, very difficult because of the way basically Google censors stuff, where you get the whack job conspiracy sites and the anti-Semitic stuff, and then you get very little on what the actual information is. You think you'd be able to just look up a list of people who hold dual citizenship who are elected members of government. It doesn't work like that. So I'm going off of just basically suspect of having that dual citizenship, been in politics for long enough to basically be influential in this manner. Now, question is, she's also had Chinese spies working for her and shit like that too. Never got arrested. Top financial committees, defense committees, all that kind of bullshit. She's no friend. She's basically, if she's not a traitor to a foreign power, she's basically somebody completely in it for herself. Total scumbag. And anti-weapons and all kinds of stuff. She's one of the worst people in Washington. She's probably one of the worst people in this country, to be honest. She's pretty disgusting. But, she is married to this guy, Richard C. Bloom. He is a big old financial guy. He's a big Wall Street financial guy. Now, that's the thing. I don't know how. I don't know if this guy was saying that basically she's connected through this guy, or she's been connected. I'm not referring to Feinstein. I'm referring to who he's talking about. Could it be possible he's basically conflating the two of them so that they be, this one couple is essentially functionally one spy group? Maybe. It's not impossible. Now here's the thing. Do I know what this is? No. Is this enough evidence to at least raise an eyebrow and do some investigation? Probably. Is it enough to get a warrant? Probably not. But also, she's been, tied in with Chinese spies before. When her driver was a spy. Don't go on Snopes or any of that bullshit where they try to debunk it. It's crap. She had a Chinese spy working for her for 20 years as her driver, and then they finally got called out a couple years ago. And nobody went to jail. Nothing happened. Guy just got sent away, and nobody asked any questions. How she could not know that, I don't know. I didn't even see her public statements on it. I'd be embarrassed. I'd be humiliated if somebody who I trusted for that long was a foreign spy. But nope, she's still doing what she's doing. So that's just an example. Now, I looked into all kinds of different, basically, who are the top Wall Street financial investment groups that are donating to basically Biden's campaign, to the Democrats, because this is all relevant to what's going on right now. I looked at Blackstone. Blackstone basically had heavy Chinese investment, but in 2018, it seems like they decoupled. Does that mean they're not still connected? I don't know. But I was looking at their board of directors. I was looking at their executives. I'm calling out Dianne Feinstein specifically just because she's a public person, and there's already rumors about her spinning around. I'm not saying she's the one, but what I am saying is that this person here, this mystery Jewish lady who's got dual citizenship, who's a Wall Street person, there is not that many people who fit that description. So, somebody who's been influential in Washington for 30, 40 years, and who's, let's just say relevant since at least 1992, and who basically has ties enough to the Chinese that obviously we're not going to know whether they're dual citizenship with China, but they're effectively acting as a Chinese asset. So, I don't know who it is, but this might be a good place to start looking. Is these different places? KKR's got freaking General Petraeus on the board and stuff. Carlyle Group. Some of these are really hard to find out who the executives are and whatnot. I should say they list them, but you have to actually search for the list. It's really hard from their website to get to them. Not always, though. But this is just, a taste of essentially these massive financial Wall Street institutions that may or may not have connections to both the Chinese and the the Democrats. Well, I should say we know they have connections to the Democrats. We know they have investments with the Chinese. It's just a matter of finding who the hell basically the traitor is. This is bad. This is really bad. And in case you guys were wondering how serious the basically election rigging was, watch this video and you'll see just how serious it is. I mean, they say, this guy even says, but they elected Joe Biden, and the audience laughs. You know what he's implying there, right? It's, we're in bad shape. But we have enough details, I think, to at least narrow it down to a few suspects. So, 4chan, whoever does the internet, weaponized autism to go find out who people are. particularly people who have committed major crimes or basically traitors, hey, now's the time. Now's the time. You know, check the Podesta emails. Find out who this person is. My first suspect would be Dianne Feinstein, but I'm biased in that ordeal just because I have a disdain for her. When I think China, I think her, but that doesn't mean it's her. So get out there, guys, and try to find the information before it's scrubbed because it might be gone already. And we know we can't rely on the FBI, so good luck.